ranking of all the Batman live action movies coming at you. Let's go. What's up, everybody? CD here, back with another video today. We've got Batman on the schedule. We're ranking all 12 live action Batman movies. So this will not be including the animated movies such as Lego Batman and Mask of Phantasm. We're only doing live action, theatrically released Batman films, ranking all 12. I'm excited for this video. I got my Batman shirt on. I'm ready to do this. Hope you guys are too. So let's go. We're going to rank from worst to best. Let's get started. Coming in at the bottom, number 12. This one's the easiest of all of them. Batman and Robin. This is easily the worst live action Batman film that we've gotten. Nothing in this film works. There's no entertainment value to it. There's nothing in this film that I enjoy. The performances are over the top. I don't like the versions of the characters. It's just, it screams just cheesy, corny Batman movie that was made to sell toys and action figures. That's exactly what it did. As a kid, I thought this movie was awesome. Seeing Arnold Schwarzenegger as Mr. Freeze in a Batman movie, I thought was really cool. But as I got older and I grew out of that sort of stuff, this is easily the worst Batman movie on this list. I give this one 1 star. Moving on to number 11, I have Joss Whedon's version of Justice League. Now, when this movie came out in theaters the first time, I actually liked it, but upon each viewing after the first time, it progressively got worse and worse for me. And then when the Snyder Cut was released and I saw all the changes that were made and everything that was taken out, I went from not really liking this movie to really not liking this movie. So I probably will never go back and see this film again. I have no reason to. If I'm going to watch the Justice League movie, it's going to be the Zack Snyder cut of this thing. So yeah, I don't like the Whedon version, and it's just the characters in here were criminally underused. I didn't like that their stories. I don't think they had strong character moments in the film. Batman was horribly used. The Flash was a joke in this version. So yeah, not a good film. I give this one 1.5 star. The reason I have this above Batman and Robin is that I do at least like the Ben Affleck version of Batman more than I like the George Clooney version of Batman. So for that reason, this one comes above Batman and Robin. Still not a good film though, 1.5 star. It comes in at number 11. Moving on to number 10, I have Batman Forever. This one, again, as a kid, I really liked and I thought was really cool. But as I've gotten older, become a bigger Batman fan, a better film critic, and just have changed in my view on things in life and my preferences when it comes to Batman and Batman characters, I really don't like this film much anymore. It does still have some good going for it. I always like Jim Carrey on screen. He's always entertaining to me. Even though he didn't really become the Riddler, he really made the Riddler become Jim Carrey. And typically I would have a problem with actors doing that, but with Jim Carrey, it works because it's Jim Carrey and he can make anything entertaining. So he really carries this film for me. Outside of that, there's not really a whole lot that I like about this film. I do think Val Kilmer does a decent job with what he's given as Batman to do. I think he's a very talented actor. I just think he had a bad script and he didn't have the pieces to go along with him in this film. But I can respect that he took the role serious and that he was at least trying to do something with the character. So this movie does come above the two below it because it is at least rewatchable to me. I can at least get through this film and be entertained by certain elements of the film. So I'll put Batman Forever at number 10. Moving on to my number 9. Number 9, I have 66 Batman. Now, 66 Batman is not the version of Batman that I like. I really don't like this version of Batman. But I grew up watching the 66 or the 60s TV show, and when the 66 movie in particular, I also grew up watching. And Adam West, he does what he's supposed to do with the character, and I can actually have a good time with this movie. I can go along for the ride, and I can be in on the joke, and just take this film for what it is. It's entertaining. At the end of the day, it's entertaining. They're not trying to take themselves too serious. They know what film they're making. They know what film they're in, and they go along with it. And because they go along with it, I also can go along with them on that journey and on that fun, and have a good time and laugh along the way. The jokes are cheesy and corny, but they still have a certain element of humor because they're so bad that they're actually funny. It still kind of works for me. So I enjoy Batman 66. I give this film 2.5 stars. It's a decent film, a decent Batman film. Not one I go back to a lot, but if it was on, I could actually sit down and have a good time with it and be entertained. So it comes in at number 9. Moving on to number 8, I have Batman Returns. This one is definitely maybe the darkest Batman film that we've gotten up until the Ben Affleck version of Batman. Maybe there's this film is kind of frustrating for me because it has things that I really like, but then there's a lot of things with the multiple different storylines that they try to cram in with the Penguin character that just don't really work for me. I do like the performances across the board. Michael Keaton as Batman works really well. Michelle Pfeiffer does a great job as Catwoman. Christopher Walken is always entertaining. And then Danny DeVito does a great job with the version of the Penguin that he's trying to play, that he's being given to work with. I think DeVito does a really good job. So it's just not my cup of tea necessarily when it comes to Batman. There's the problems I have with this film affect my viewing experience with it. So it comes in at number 8. I also give this film 2.5 stars, but because it's the version of Batman I like better than the 66 version, I would be more likely to watch this one back than I would the 66 version. So it comes in at number 8. Moving on to number 7, we have Batman 89. Now, I really like this movie, guys. This was the first Batman film I ever saw, and Michael Keaton was the first Batman I was introduced to. So that's one reason I'm a big Keaton fan, is because he was the first Batman I was introduced to. This was the first Batman movie I saw, and I really enjoyed it. And I think this is probably also one reason I prefer the darker version of Batman, is because I was introduced to a dark version of Batman with the Tim Burton Batmans. This one is definitely the better Tim Burton Batman film, in my opinion. I think it's significantly better. I think it's a good step or two up above Batman Returns for a number of reasons. I won't get into those necessarily right now because I'll probably do a Tim Burton Batman review series later on. But there's a number of things that I do really like about this film. Batman gets a lot more screen time. He's much better used in this one than he is in Batman Returns. It feels a lot more like a Batman movie, where the other three, Batman Returns, Batman Forever, and Batman and Robin, feel like a rogues gallery movie, Batman rogues gallery movie, with Batman just kind of dropping in here and there to save the day. Batman 89 actually feels like a Batman movie, and I like that. That's always going to win you points and on my Batman ranking videos. So those reasons, I have Batman 89 Batman above Batman Returns. I give this one 3.5 stars, a significant step up from Batman Returns. Really enjoy it, but it has its issues as well. Moving on to number 6. Yeah, number 6, we have Batman vs. Superman Dawn of Justice Ultimate Edition. This is the only edition that I recognize now. This is the only edition that I watch now. I saw the theatrical edition in theaters when it came out. I saw it. I saw it a couple times after that. But once the Ultimate Edition was dropped, this is the only edition that I give any attention to. So it answers a lot more questions. It's a fuller script and a fuller story. And I love this movie. I really don't understand all the negativity that was thrown the direction of this film when it came out. I think part of it may have been that it came out so closely after the Nolan trilogy had wrapped up that a lot of people just, quite frankly, weren't ready to embrace someone else's Batman. Their Batman was still Christian Bale, and their Batman filmmaker was Christopher Nolan. They weren't ready for Zack Snyder to come in and give us a new version of Batman with a different actor playing Batman. So because of that, they automatically were shut off to being willing to accept this film as a enjoyable film. And I can understand that, but for me, I love this version of Batman. Ben Affleck is one of my favorite Batman. He does a great job. He looks the part. I feel like I'm watching a Batman movie when I watch this. It's Batman directly out of the Batman from the graphic novels that I love. Frank Miller version of Batman. This is him. This is that version of Batman on screen. And that's my favorite version of Batman. So I love this movie. I don't think it does too much. Yes, it has a lot of storylines going on, but I think it's executed really well and it's flushed out really well. And the storylines mesh together and they work. So I love this film. I give this one 4 stars. It does have its issues, one of them being, how does Lex Luthor just automatically know who Batman is and who Superman is? We never understand that. Like, we're never told, we're never given a reason as to how he just knows these things. These are big issues. And quite frankly, I feel like that's not something you can just leave the audience in the dark on, because that's a very significant thing to the plot and the story of the film, and we never get that answered. So that is something that always kind of bugs me with this film, that kind of affects my viewing experience. But I still have a blast every time I see this movie. So I love it. It's 4-star film for me, and it comes in at number 6. Moving on to number 5, The Dark Knight Rises. Again, love this movie, guys. I did a full review of this movie on my channel, so you want to know my fuller thoughts on this movie, go check out that review. I love it. It's a 4-star film as well. I would put this one above Batman vs. Superman, because I feel like if I were to choose one, if I was more likely to sit down and watch one over the other, it would be The Dark Knight Rises over BVS. But it's close. But I do think Dark Knight Rises does a little bit more for me than Batman vs. Superman does. So it comes in at number 5. Moving on to number 4, we have Batman Begins. The best superhero origin story of all time, in my opinion. I think this one beats out Iron Man. I think it beats out Spider-Man origin stories. This is the best origin story. And it's executed flawlessly. Christian Bale is an amazing Batman, an even better Bruce Wayne. Christopher Nolan knocks it out of the park and really brings us something special with this film. I love Batman Begins. I never get tired of it. I can throw it on at any time and enjoy myself for the next 2.5 hours. So love this film. There's one fairly significant problem I have with this movie, and I would say go check out my review if you want to know what that problem is that keeps this out of the 5-star tier. I give this movie 4.5 stars. It's just on the edge of the 5-star, but not quite there because of the one issue I have with it. But it comes in at number 4. Moving on to number 3, we have Zack Snyder's version of Justice League, the proper Justice League story. This is the Justice League movie that we should have gotten from the beginning. This is the Justice League movie I always wanted to see, and man, did he deliver. It's a masterful film. And I know this is going to probably shock a lot of people when I say this, but I'm being honest on this video. This is a 5-star masterpiece to me. I give this film 5 stars. It's, subjectively speaking, a perfect film. There's not a thing I would change about this film. Nothing. I wouldn't change the runtime. I wouldn't change the performances, the characters. There's nothing about this film I would change. It's perfect the way it is. This is the story that needs to be told for the Justice League film, and I absolutely am blasted every time I watch this film. I'm amped up. I love it. It gives me the perfect viewing experience. Zack Snyder knows how to make a comic book movie. Go watch his other comic book films. Watchmen, 300, Man of Steel. This guy, if you want to make a comic book movie, Zack Snyder is the guy you call up, because he will get the job done for you. Everything is better in the Snyder Cut. over the Whedon cut. I love this movie to death, and it comes in at number 3. Moving on to number 2, we have The Dark Knight. This was my favorite movie for 14 years. I absolutely love this film, guys. I love this film. I also did a full review of this one. Go check that out. There's no flaws I have with this movie. It's also a 5-star masterpiece. There's nothing about this film I would change. It's not objectively a perfect film, but I wouldn't change any of the flaws with it, because changing the flaws with the film means we would not have the film that we have. And the film that we do have is subjectively a perfect film. And it gives me the perfect viewing experience. So I love The Dark Knight. Anyone that puts The Dark Knight as their number 1, I have no problems with whatsoever. I fully understand the argument. And I love this film too. It comes in at number 2. But, of course, topping our list, number 1 is The Batman. I honestly never thought any film would top The Dark Knight for me as a Batman fan. This film did, and it did it on the first watch. I love this film. I think I ended up seeing 3 or 4 times in the theaters, and every time I loved it more and more. So after the first time, I wasn't quite sure if I was going to put it above The Dark Knight, because I love The Dark Knight so much. But after like the second and third viewing, I am confident that The Batman is my favorite Batman film. Not just my favorite Batman film, it is my favorite film of all time. It's a 5-star masterpiece. There's not a thing about this one I would change. The performances are great. The story is great. It gives me everything that I want in a Batman film. And I guess the thing that tips it over The Dark Knight for me is just the version of Batman that Pattinson gives, I think, is better than what Bale gives. I like Pattinson better as Batman than Bale, and we get more of Batman in this film than we get in The Dark Knight. And they just do different things for me. They're 2 different Batman films. But I think for whatever reason, I'm more beguiled to the Batman than I am The Dark Knight. I never thought that was possible, but obviously it is. The Batman comes in at number 1. It is my favorite Batman film and my favorite film of all time. So that's my list, guys. My ranking of all 12 live action Batman films. Let me know your ranking in the comment section below. Also, let me know what other ranking videos you want me to do, and I will love to get to them. Thanks, guys, for watching. Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Rock on.